At Hitachi, we've been a group now building EPC components, namely the MME and SGSN, and we've been doing that since 2009. We started as a group, which was the R&D group out of Nortel, and so we immediately showed up with our SGSN that had been deployed around the world. And really, our main focus was to move on to building a virtualized EPC core. And so we've been doing that with the focus of trying to be hardware agnostic, to work with the different hypervisors that are out there, and get our MME product to where it's really meeting the needs of what operators are asking for today, which is get to that virtualized solution. We've built a fully redundant architecture so that we have the ability to be carrier grade, and we can avoid outages through automatic protection and switchovers. So we have a number of VMs that make up our MME and SGSN products that allow us to scale both in terms of having kind of a small, either a test system or even a small network, all the way up to multi-million number of subscribers that you can scale up to just by adding in additional x86 servers. So that's one of the biggest things that we've been doing. And it all goes into create kind of a challenging type of test environment. So I've been running the product verification team at Hitachi for the last 6 years. And what we had a lot of problems with is in dealing with the scale, having enough test tools and enough resources in your test environment in order to be able to expand and get it to where you can actually fully test the system. Worst thing you want to do is have it hit max capacity for the first time when you release it outward or it's in a customer lab or something like this. So we've been heavily reliant on a lot of tools that allow us to scale upwards as well in order to meet that. So that's kind of when Dennis asked me if we wanted to come here today and kind of talk about it, we were very happy to, because as he said, we partnered very early on, and that's helped us. Our test strategy has always been, how do we build a carrier grade MME? We had the SGSN that was deployed in many countries worldwide as part of the Nortel SGSN, so we know how to do that as an organization, right? What we needed to do was expand that to the MME and expand it to our virtualized solution. So we were looking for new ways and how can we do that, and how can we really achieve the scale and being able to go to millions of subs and be able to really test it out, not only in terms of just the size and the capacity, but also in transactions per second. And that becomes one of the big measurements of how good your network is and how much it's going to last and how much it's going to operate like a real world system in the lab, so that when it does get out into the real world, it's not going to fall over and the wheels aren't going to come off or anything like that, right? So the DS Test Simulator, it's something that we've been using for a while, and I go through and we kind of show on the next slide some of the interfaces that we've been using quite heavily. But we partnered, and we wanted to come up with a way of how do we work together. It's convenient that we're also in Richardson, they're not so far away, but it was really a good partnership in the fact that we listened to each other, we listened to what we wanted, what they had to offer, and how can we best get to the next steps. And so we really look for what are some of the new interfaces that are coming up, what are some of the things and challenges that we have with other tools that may not be as flexible or give us the ability to do some negative type of testing and really do the types of things that we want. And so we use the DS Test Simulator for quite a few of the interfaces that we have just coming straight in and out of the MME and the SGSN. And so we kind of put together just a picture of that. And kind of by accident, it kind of started out where as you go from 12 o'clock and then backwards and going counterclockwise, it's kind of in the order that we picked up interfaces from the team. And what we had the need to do is we needed to be able to drive some traffic into the SGSN. And we're not an access vendor, so we don't have the ability to drive a lot of traffic from a large number of real nodes or anything like this. So we needed a way of simulating that, but we needed an HSS to begin with that's going to be able to handle the scale and the capacity that we really needed in order to drive that. And again, it wasn't so much just, okay, I need X million number of subscribers, because that's what we support, it was really around, we needed to be able to handle this type of transactions per second on the S6 interface so that we understand whether or not our box can keep up with real live traffic and things like that. We had great data from some of our customers about what they were expecting in terms of how fast their subscribers are coming onto their network during attached storms or various events in their network. And so we had real live views of what we needed to achieve. And so we took those and said, okay, this is what we need. And so we started out with a lot of work on the HSS and the HLR. We moved that down to some of the other interfaces for the EIR, for example, in order to do equipment identity checking. We moved it down to the MME VLR interfaces to support the GS and SGS interfaces, as well as SRVCC for voice over or VoLTE testing, and then also being able to simulate the gateways. So on the S11 side, and all of the GTP type of interfaces. So we're able to work together with them in order to get us a system to where we truly could, from a single tool, do some isolation testing. That gives us the ability to play around with different things and look and feel for how it's operating and make sure that we're able to maintain a certain transactions per second type of level. And we're really, truly challenging and stressing out our MME product. So that gives you kind of an idea of what we're doing there, and then some of the newer interfaces with location-based services, as well as EMPMS we've been testing most recently, and really giving us an opportunity to test our product, right? We do use, and I've kind of put it over there on the left-hand side, we do use some real devices in our lab. I don't feel that there's any way that you can ever get away from that. And those we use for some compliance type testing, also to make sure that any test tool that we use is actually playing it and keeping it real, right? So, you know, it's one thing to have a test tool that operates in a certain way, but the moment you throw it in a live network, it doesn't work the same way. So it's a check and balance for us. But what we still do is, for a lot of those, is that we'll test it either with a real device, a real node, a real S11, or we'll just run it with a single real device, but with the other simulated nodes. And a lot of times we use the DS test tool for that. But that's basically what we've been doing. And so, you know, when Dennis said he was going to talk about, you know, isolation type testing, it's something that we do quite often because we need to understand how the performance of our box is. It allows us to really stress out our MME. We do test with a connected gateway sometimes in order to make sure the performance of two integrated boxes performs and operates the way that you expect it to, checking for latency, call timings, things like this. But that's a lot of the ways that we've been using it, and yeah, I think that's really all I wanted to go through today is just to kind of give you an introduction to who we are and kind of what we do with respect to the developing solutions team.